If I say, this is the past and this is the future, that's the present. So that's where meditation comes in. The reason we meditate and the reason they say, try to stop your thoughts, is because when we stop our thoughts, that voice that's running in our head for just a moment, then we open up the conduit to something bigger than us. So there's a little gap between those thoughts, and you just want to stay in that gap as long as you can. Even if it's for that fast, that's fine. And then the more that you find that little gap over and over and over and over and over again, that gap can get a little bit bigger. And then that's when we really feel that this is more like this. It's bigger. It's more. That's when we're more present. That's when we feel who we truly are. While I made a scary comment that that's the present, that little thing we can barely see, it doesn't have to always be like that. And that's why people use altered state of consciousness. That's why people look to things to increase this from this, because they want to not live in the past. They want to not worry about the future. And if we realize that the past, the future, and the present are all the same thing, then we don't have that stress. Then we can stop the thoughts. We can treat the past as lessons we learn to make our future go into our present. We don't live for the future. We live now, and the now creates the future. That's what Lao Tzu really meant when he said the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. Because 1,000 miles doesn't matter, because the 1,000 miles is infinite possibilities. You could be 100,000 different yous in the future, depending on which way your step goes. So what's really important? Just the step. That's all that's important. And if we put these steps together, that's what creates the future. So the future really doesn't exist until we create it with a step. And the decisions that we make when we step are the things that create the future. Now, we can create the future in our mind. And if we believe it strongly enough in our mind, and if it becomes part of who we are in our mind, that controls the step that we take, and that future comes to us. It comes to us in the present, and then it manifests itself in the external reality. And it's in the present moment that we have more access and understanding to things that we believe are beyond us. This is where we have better rapport with our unconscious mind. So our subconscious can talk freely with our unconscious and then share that conversation that it had with us, which we wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. So when we're under hypnosis or doing a past life regression, we are completely focused on the moment. Now, the moment doesn't mean you're static and not changing. The moment means that you have limitless possibilities. So there is actually more in the moment than there is in the past and in the future. Because the past comes with bias and the future comes with expectations. The moment is everything. And in that everything is where we learn all of our lessons. And we learn them consciously, which is nice, because then we can take that lesson to everything else that we do. If we just learned it unconsciously, it wouldn't do us any good. And this is why if somebody goes and does ayahuasca, and they have an altered state of consciousness and they don't really have a guide and they're not present to learn and to grow, it just becomes another event, doesn't it? You know, heroin, altered state of consciousness without guidance does nothing for you. Absolutely nothing. A moment of wow, and then back to the grind. It does nothing for you. You know, so we can have aha moments, but if in that aha moment we don't attach it to ourselves, it becomes meaningless. You know, so if you look back through history and you have these people who have had aha moments, Leonardo da Vinci, he then created stuff that nobody had ever created before. Because in his aha moment, he attached it to himself as part of who he was. You know, I mean, how many ideas, aha moments have you had that you did nothing about? It just becomes, oh, I had an idea one time. And then you look on TV and somebody also had your idea and they did something about it. And you're like, if only I had done something about that amazing idea that I had. You know, so in that moment, the universe gives you everything. They're like, take your pick. You know, the world is your oyster. You know, take whatever you want from this moment because that moment is everything. So in past life regression, in hypnosis, you have the opportunity to ask questions. You have the opportunity to learn lessons. You have the opportunity even to go to your Akashic records and look at your potentials and choose a path. You can learn things. You can create new knowledge, all in the space of hypnosis and past life regression. You give yourself the opportunity to become a conduit for the things that really will make your life worth living and help you make sense of what we consider the past and help you do away with some of the expectations of the future. It gives you the opportunity to create a bigger imagination, to imagine a bigger future. You know, some people's expectations of the future is, I just want the next meal. Some people's expectation of the future is, I want my next meal on a yacht. That's up to you. And in that moment, you can learn what it takes to get there. So being present is learning to look all around you, all through you, all beyond you. And that's when we realize that there is bigger than us, but that bigger than us is there to serve us. We just have to ask it.